First I'll start with The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. Was released for GameCube. It has the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask on it. The original Legend of Zelda sets a new standard for open world exploration in video games. Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto said he got the inspiration for Zelda when he used to explore the garden as a kid. When me and my brother were kids, we used to like to explore the garden carrying toy swords and climb stuff and pretend we were on an adventure as well. Like many people, Zelda 2 is my least favourite Zelda game, but I appreciate it was at least trying new ideas and introduced more RPG elements. Ocarina of Time, what more do I need to say? It is one of the most revolutionary games ever. It's revolutionized 3D action-adventure gaming. Not only did it let you go out and explore big open areas, it's introduced a lock-on system and the roll mechanic, being able to block with your shield at the press of a button. And not only is the world 3D, but it has so much detail. When you're traversing through a forest or over mountains or inside a village, it feels like you really are in those places. The puzzles and dungeons are designed in a way that they are so memorable. People say Ocarina of Time is the best game ever. I can't agree with that, but it's definitely one of the most revolutionary. Majora's Mask is different to most other Zelda games in that you're supposed to try to beat the game quicker, as you have 3 in-game days to beat the game before the moon crashes to the earth, and it has a very dark and depressing feel, and Link can transform into different creatures or forms that give him different abilities. Honestly, it's not one of my favourite Zelda games. I like Zelda games where you can take your time and explore. Majora's Mask only has 4 dungeons, but I appreciate it tried to be different, and the game is still fun to play. It's like if you mixed Nier with a Zelda game. It's a dark, depressing, and emotional experience. My copy is still sealed, and if I can boast a little bit, it goes for a fortune on eBay, especially if it's sealed. The reason I bought this was so I would always have a physical copy of Ocarina of Time, because I never owned a Nintendo 64. And I bought this to play on the GameCube, but then I downloaded Ocarina of Time digitally for the Wii, so I just kept this as a spare. I bought this in 2010 for only 90 Australian dollars. Next game to show is Zelda A Link to the Past for Game Boy Advance. I've said this many times before and I'll say it again, all the Game Boy Advance games I've bought, I bought them in Australia at an electronics boutique, so they're all genuine, they are not pirate copies. A Link to the Past is actually my second favourite Zelda game. It has aged so well. Its gameplay is simple, but it's fun. Its combat just works so well, its music, its art style, its world design, dungeon design, everything comes together so well. It's a game I can keep coming back to like it's a comfort food. When Ocarina of Time was released, all the rave was about 3D graphics, but when people got over 3D, many people realised they preferred to go back and play A Link to the Past. In my opinion, it's aged better than Ocarina of Time, and I find A Link to the Past is easier to get into the mood to play. Next I have Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. It's actually my favourite Zelda game ever. I find Wind Waker so relaxing to play. It's like Zelda meets Waterworld with a tropical environment. When you do come across islands, since the world is flooded, every time you do find land, I think it makes it more rewarding when you scavenge for islands for resources and items to help you on your journey. The game's on the easy side, you don't really need those items, but it's still fun to search for them. Same when you're on your boat and you can search for treasure on the sea floor with your grapple. I like how you can change wind currents and use your Deku Leaf for gliding, which adds extra depth to exploration, especially in dungeons. When you're travelling around on your boat, you'll encounter pirates and you have a cannon, you can blast them away. Gameplay mechanics wise, Wind Waker was a big step up from Ocarina of Time, because Ocarina of Time's gameplay mechanics did feel a bit clunky even back in the day, whereas the controls for Wind Waker are very tight. They even hold up very well by modern standards. And like I said, I just find it very relaxing to play. I love just going off sailing, and it's just a relaxing way to explore. My copy of Zelda Wind Waker, I bought it on eBay, I think it was in 2010, and I played it on my Wii. I actually never owned a GameCube, but the Wii can play GameCube games, and as you can see, it's a pre-owned game from Electronics Boutique. Even though I bought it on eBay, you can see I've still got the card from the seller. The box isn't a genuine box, but the disc is there, the booklet is there. It's just the box cover isn't genuine, at least at the front. The back part looks good. And next I have The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, one of the more darker and mature Zelda games. And playing it with the Wii remote was fun. Although there's a few Zelda games that I like more than Twilight Princess, I like the lore in Twilight Princess. It's set during the Dark Age or the Twilight era, where the world is in eternal dusk and the world has a gritty feel and some terrifying enemies. Next I have The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, which is a remake for the 3DS. It was built from the ground up, so it is a remake. I bought it many years after it got released, and I chose a copy with this box cover because I like this box cover the most. Ocarina of Time 3D fixes the few issues that the original Ocarina of Time has, such as the frame rate issues. I'm not the only one who found the gameplay in the original Ocarina of Time a bit choppy, and some of my friends who honestly did not like the original Ocarina of Time said they like Ocarina of Time 3D because the gameplay feels smoother. Using the gyroscope function made using ranged weapons feel better. The graphics in Ocarina of Time 3D look cleaner and more colourful. However, some people say they don't like Ocarina of Time 3D being more colourful. They prefer the murky art style of the original version, which is understandable. And I have Breath of the Wild. Some people call it Breath of the Skyrim. The open world aspect may not be to everyone's taste, but it was still a captivating experience. I love how in Breath of the Wild it gave you such a huge world you could just get lost exploring, and trying to find a way to traverse different parts of the world was like a puzzle in itself. Rather than relying on dungeons, you try to find a way to traverse the world, and you could take in the beautiful scenery along the way. Random weather meant sometimes rocky terrain would be too slippery to climb. I'm not a big fan of the weapons breaking. I know it makes the combat more challenging, but Zelda games were never really about challenging combat. But anyways, this game, like I said, it's just a very captivating experience. I like how the world in Breath of the Wild, its version of Hyrule, is full of hidden lore and side stories, such as colossal creatures that went extinct. And I have Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It basically takes everything that made Breath of the Wild great and makes those things even better. Tears of the Kingdom adds floating land masses and a huge network of caves, like an underworld, and the crafting has a lot more depth. You can make mechanical inventions, and the weapon crafting has a lot more customization. And of course its world has a lot more lore to discover. I also have this Link figure. It's a Nintendo 64 edition that got released in the late 1990s. The figure has an Ocarina of Time theme, of course. I bought mine in 2010 for around $100 Australian. Here's how much it goes for now on eBay. So that wraps up my Legend of Zelda physical collection. In case you're wondering, I might get Skyward Sword for Switch because it's the first part of the lore in the series, and I want to get a physical copy of Link's Awakening, whether it's the Game Boy Color version or the Switch remake, because it's a lovely game And I like tropical themes. Anyways, that's all for now. Take care.